Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Tips for Parents of Teens here at Raising Remarkable Teenagers. And for those of you who are watching us live or on replay on video, you can see our beautiful, beautiful guest, Hermione. And for those of you who are just listening, I encourage you to just listen in, because today we are about to hear some amazing, amazing tips. One of the things that made me actually narrow down on what our guest today had to talk about was because it was about consciousness, right? You guys know I am so big on consciousness, on intentionality, because until such a time as we are conscious as parents, we don't even know what's happening. We are parenting by default, and we don't want that. We want to be parents that parent by design, and that's why intentionality and consciousness comes in. So, Hermione, I am so delighted. I know you've got, I just want you to introduce yourself, because I don't think I'll do you justice. I know you are a business coach or a turnaround business coach. And on top of that, you have a team, and we love that, because we love to hear real life stories, because we are real parents here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Angie. I'm super excited to be here with you and all your guests. So, hi, everybody. My name is Hermione Sihukai. I am a parent. I've got two daughters. I have one that is going to be 13, like say next month, and one that is already 17. So kind of that's my parenting part there. And then just for myself, I'm really spiritual. I'm really into kind of growing myself as a person and just being here and being the very best version of myself that I can be, which means facing up to myself all the time. And then that comes and spills over into my work. So for my work, I just wanted to do something that actually contributes to society. You know, like I didn't want to be in something that I felt was taking away from or wasn't bringing something into the world. So I chose to kind of find out what my soul wants to do, why is my soul here, what does it want to do, and how does it want to make money, and then I just align with my soul. So that means that I'm working with businesses that want to change something in the world. They want to impact humanity in some positive way, and therefore I support and help them where maybe they have slightly misaligned, and maybe they're offering products and services that don't match with their business's intention. So just bringing them back on their path. So a little bit about me.
Oh, we love that. We love that, because what I hear from you is alignment. And what we know is that until such a point that we are aligned, there's always going to be dissonance. And as long as there is dissonance, it is impossible to move ahead, to actually go ahead coherently. So I am so excited. I am extremely excited. And you know what? I'm just gonna go. And I know you've been doing business. You done business even when you were a little girl. And so we're gonna come to that, because I want to hear what advice you have for us on how we can encourage our young people to actually follow their heart, at the same time be able to serve the world. Because most of us say, oh, I want my kid to be happy. I want my kid to be, I want my kid to be happy. I want them to do what they want. But I want to hear about that being aligned, because I know as parents, and I have been guilty sometimes of, shall we say, almost forcing your kid in a path that does not align with them. So guys, as we talk, don't think that we are blaming you or shaming you. I have been guilty of it, and many times I have to recalibrate and ask for forgiveness, actually. So This is a safe space for us, and we're going to be discussing and growing together. So Hermione, tell me, is there a point in life where you either in business or in your parenting, you decided this is it. I want to be intentional in this particular. Can you remember a point? And I'm not putting you on the spot because I personally cannot remember like a split point, but I know there some people do have those defining moments. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, what I'll just say is that I have made so many parenting mistakes. So by no means am I any way kind of better. It's just, like you said, as you become conscious or as you make different choices, you start to realize, oh my gosh, what was I doing? And then you have to go back and apologize and be like, do you know what? All those times I did that, I was out of order. So I'm not judging anybody listening here on their parenting skills. It's not about that. It's just bringing more information to the table. So you guys can extract what you think, do you know what, I'm going to take that and try that in my home and see if it works for me, see if we can get a better result. So I just want to make sure we're clear with that, because I am not here to tell anybody that I'm a better parent than them or that they are doing something drastic, because it's not my place, you know. Let's say with my first daughter, so when I was pregnant with her and she was in my womb, I had her when I was 20, right? And so when I was pregnant at 19, did I get stick? I mean, I looked young for my age, so I got stick. Anyways, people just looked at me like, are you 14 or 15 and pregnant? And I was like, no. I was like, you know, just give up on that. No, so when I had her, I already, like, so when she was pregnant, when I was pregnant, she was inside me, I already planned out the first 5 years of her life. So I was not conscious at this point, right? So I was like, right, this is what you're going to do from 0 to 5, because this is where I want you to go. This is who you're going to become. And this is what I want from you. So once she was born and then she was here, and then like within the first 6 months, I was just like, I was really unhappy in the relationship I was in. And I was like, no, I think actually she deserves someone better. No, there's so many things that I went through. So like, anyway, so I split up with her dad, and then I had her, and then I just was like, put her in all the things I had planned. Like, I want you to do dance because I know it does this for your body. I want you to play this sport because I know it's good for you here. I just, everything I mapped out, I put her on. And then it suddenly kind of became clear to me that this plan I had made for this child wasn't fitting this child. And I was like, oh, no, but I've planned this and I'm a planner. So I was like, I've planned this, so this needs to go to plan. Like, why is it not going to plan? And then it was just like, every time I would look back and I would reflect on myself, I just realized, this child is the first person for me that I felt loved me exactly as I was. That I was like, you deserve everything. So I need to go and become an even better version of me to be able to give you everything that I thought I was meant to give you. So at the beginning, I really thought that it was me that was meant to hand over everything. I didn't realize it's not meant to be me, you know. I didn't kind of get that. So I thought it all has to come from me. So I was like, oh, quick, I need to go off, you know, throw myself in therapy, start to sort myself out, like just be a better person. So that's kind of my defining moment, was when in that 0 to 5, realizing my plan wasn't working. So I needed to go and change so I could come up with an even better plan to help her. And it was, once you start doing your internal work, you know, you start looking at yourself, you start looking at your thoughts, your beliefs, where you are parenting because you don't want to be like your parents. So you're going the complete opposite. You're still under some type of control. You know, you're not making a choice. You're just reacting, oh, well, my parents stopped me doing this, so I need to do the opposite. Like, but you're actually not making a conscious choice of what is the best in this situation. So it's from there that I developed kind of like what to do. And so then I read a lot. I examined a lot of things around me. Because I've been around situations where I haven't always felt comfortable, I got very good at being like the silent person observing. To know when to speak up, when not to speak up, like when it's safe, when it's not safe. So I would use kind of my observational skills that I've gained to watch other people, or to reflect on what other people are doing, and also just to look at what was happening around me, especially at the time when I was a young mother. There was no, I mean, I can give you, it's the time period where there was no fashionable pregnancy clothes yet. There was, you know, like, if you can kind of, it's that period where, even though I was my age, it would have been wearing the old style pregnancy clothes, like, you know, the floaty dresses, right? And I'd be like, I'm 20, I'm not in my 30s, which is what everyone was wearing in their 30s. So it's kind of that period where fashion hadn't come in yet for people. So we're still kind of back. And it's just a case of me just grabbing different nuggets from things around me and then pulling them into my world and just really ruminating over them. And observing other people, like, so I'd see someone shout at their child, and I'm like, well, I shout at my kid, they shout at their kid. Let me watch what their child's reaction is, because I can't see my child's reaction because I'm in it, you know, that this relationship I'm in, so I can't see it. So I need to see it on someone else. So I see, like, then I see this child like shrink a little bit, and I'm like, oh, like they actually don't, it's not really a motivator, you know. And then I, you know, dissecting slowly like these little things, but really using the world around me to realize, oh, that's not really working. Or seeing someone else who's maybe done it a certain way, and then seeing like, well, they haven't got the result they wanted, and they're still talking about the past like it's today. Does that make sense? Like, maybe you're speaking to parents and they're like, oh yeah, but when I was younger, and you're like, okay, but you're not younger anymore, no offense. You're in this age right now, you know, and your child is not you. And so it was just really, that's like kind of my defining moments, was just seeing that my plan wasn't working, and then trying to review other people's, and then learning that I need to find my own. That's eventually where you get to, you get to that point, don't you, when you realize.
Point. Yeah. Well, I've heard you speak about very profound points in that. In fact, I was writing it. If you noticed that.
Sorry.
No,
it's just going to come out. I just be like that, throwing them at you.
I heard you talk about moments that defined you. That you were reading books, and at the same time observing. And observation. In fact, there's a quote, can't remember where it is, I forget now. It says observation is power, like judgment is weakness. So it's such a powerful quote, because when you observe without judgment, you're actually able to observe and see, would this work for me? You have that critical mind, and you're trying to assimilate what would work for you. And then you also talked about reading. And what I say is, honestly, books do define us, and learners, because we as leaders, we as parents are leaders, and leaders are learners, and a lot of where we learn from our books as well as observing. And another thing you said reminded me of Khalil. I'm not sure, are you aware of Khalil Gibran's poem, Our Children Are Not Our Own?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I just don't know the name, but I know the poem. Sorry.
I'm sure, you know, most people know it. Yeah, so it says, our children are not our own. They are the product of life, wanting to express through us. So they come through us, but they don't stop with us. So when you talked about having this plan you had for your kiddie and this, I was just thinking, whoa, our children, they come through us, so that life, it's like a channel. We're just a channel, right? But they have their way, they have their makeup, they have a way that they're supposed to be expressed, because they are the product of life wanting to express itself. So I am so you know, I love your vulnerability, and how you spoke about your experiences. And one of the things we talk about here is vulnerability is strength. When we share our stories, it opens sort of a framework for other people to be able to say, actually, you did that happened to you, and you're okay. There's no shame in what I have been through, right? It's just an experience. I am greater than my experiences, because before that experience, you were. And even after that experience, you are. So when I say to people, let's not be so ashamed of our experiences that we get captured and we are hiding, and we forget that we were before that experience, and we are after that experience. And what does that make us? It makes us people who are above our experiences. We transcend. We are people able to transcend our experiences. So I am so excited that you talked about that. Now, I want to ask you something that we ask all of our guests, because over here, we like to perforate beliefs because we know, and you mentioned it earlier, about how a lot of beliefs control us, right? There's so many parenting beliefs, things that we grew up with, things that we believed and thought they were okay. And when we're not conscious, that is what, let's say, controls us or drives our actions, our behavior. And unfortunately, in doing that, we can end up, we had a guest last week that said, we end up bleeding onto our kids, right? Because something was bled into us. So would you share some beliefs that are actually not helpful for us? And that's either in parenting, in personal development, even in growth. Because one of the things I've realized, especially for us who are parents of teenagers, we are coming to a point where we begin to ask ourselves, is this all there is to life? I want to do more. I want to be more. So can you share with us some of the beliefs that hold us hostage? And on top of that, if you can share with us how we, because I know you're a beautiful coach, and because you help with business transformation, I know you deal with this a lot. Would you share with us some of those beliefs, please?
Absolutely. So one of the ones that I will say it's really important is that you are whole, and your ego will make you feel like you are not whole. It will make you feel like every single negative thought you have will come from your ego. And just like you have power as, like, you know, you have your soul, you have power, you come from like source, right? We have all of this within us and we want to express it forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go through something, it makes us feel ashamed, it makes us feel embarrassed, it makes us feel guilty, and we feel all these different emotions. And then it's the job of that negative side to make us believe that that is who we are, because then it keeps us limited. So when we believe in those limitations, we got caught in that trap that it's set for us on purpose. And we have to keep remembering, you may have done bad behaviors, you may have done things that are, you know, you need to ask for forgiveness from people, and the things that have hurt you and that have hurt others, you may have done that as a person, but you're still whole. And it's just all those negative feelings that are around it that kind of stick onto your wholeness and that kind of make you feel like it's covered, is then what you present to other people. So you go around, you know, you resolve one trauma that you get over, and it could, and when I say a trauma, it can be something as small as that you're holding on to from when you were younger, with like, my sister took my pen, it was my favorite pen, I can't believe it, to a trauma being like emotional abuse, sexual abuse. Like, so trauma can be anything for the individual, and I can't judge your trauma against someone else's, because your trauma, no matter how big or how small, impacted you. So it doesn't matter what it is, you just, it had an impact on you, so it's become traumatic. So, you know, your wholeness, you covered it. Now you're walking around going, oh yeah, but they did this to me and I feel this embarrassment, or I feel angry, so I must be angry. And then I just project out this anger onto people. And that's what the whole time, that's all your ego wants you to do. Because as long as you're sitting in those emotions, you can't go forward and do your work. And that's just like its whole job. So this whole job is to keep you down with the guilt. So you overcome one part and then it makes you feel guilty. And then you walk around, I feel guilty, what I did 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And that's the whole point. It's like, it's meant to make you feel guilty, because then you don't keep shining your light. Oh, you've gotten over your guilt. Okay, let me make you feel ashamed. You know, oh, okay, you've done your shame. Let me make you feel embarrassed. Come on, like it will just keep throwing things at you. So your job is to keep going, hang on, I'm a whole being.
Amen.
I'm a whole being. I'm a whole being. Yes, I shouted at someone today. Yes, I didn't make someone feel good today. Yes, I overstepped the mark today. Yes, I trod over the boundary today. Recognize it, you know, fix it, like apologize, you know, make the rights that you need to make. I'm a whole being. Like, I come back into my center, I come back into my whole. If you can remember that as you go on your journey, then you start to free that part, which means that you keep shining your light, right? So when you then go to parent, when you see your teenager doing something, you understand that they also like are going to be a reflection of you in some ways. So when they go and make a mistake, or when they step over a boundary, and then they start to feel bad in themselves, like, you told me not to do this, but I did it anyway. Now I'm bad, like I must not be a good. You need to remember their ego is doing the same thing. It's making them not remember who they are.
Wow.
You know, and this pattern.
Absolutely. I love what you said about, and what I like to remind myself, because I have to remind myself that as well as parents, as well as my own kid, is I want you to imagine that you're a 50-pound note. A 50-pound note is a 50-pound note. Sometimes it's crumpled, sometimes it's filthy, sometimes it's dropped in the water, possibly even in the toilet. But the value of it does not diminish because of the amount of dirt that's on top of it. And I think that's exactly what you've described, that we are whole regardless. So if we can hold on to that, we are good.
Yeah,
wow.
if you can remember that you're a whole person, which means that you're an abundant being. It means that you have love inside you. Even if someone didn't show it to you, even if you weren't shown it in the right ways, or it was demonstrated in inappropriate ways and wrong ways, you still have it inside you. It doesn't matter all those things that have happened to you that have shaped you as a parent and shaped you as a person. You are still whole, you are still abundant, you are still love, you are still kindness, you are still, you know, all those positive things you still are. And if you remember those, then as you go through life and you're making choices, like parenting choices, you know, life choices, you keep going, hang on, I'm a whole being. So as a whole being, if someone comes up to me and does something that's not nice or kind, do I react as a broken being? Do I go into my brokenness, my shame, my guilt, my pain, or do I come back to my wholeness and be like, do you know what? Maybe they just need a break today. Maybe they just need someone to say something nice to them today and wish them well and send them on the way. So it kind of works in all situations. Obviously, it's easier said than done. Don't be fooled. But it's like, it's just, you know, like if you have your affirmations or you have your little notes somewhere, just put it in places that you can see, like, actually, I am a whole being. You know, I am love. I am kindness. I am beautiful. Absolutely. I am handsome. I am intelligent. Like, just, I am all these great things.
Oh, I love that. I love what you're saying right here on my wall here. Is something that I repeat. It's one of my affirmations. In fact, it's so intricate in me. It says, it's by U.S. Anderson. It says, I know that I am pure spirit, that I always have been, and that I always will be. There is inside me a place of confidence and quietness where all things are known and understood. And it goes on, and it's such, you know, when I'm feeling battered, I come back here and I look up and I say, I know that my body is a manifestation of pure spirit. Therefore, my body is, you know, is whole, because spirit is whole, right? And these are some of the things that we have to get to a point where we are able to encourage ourselves in that way. And in doing that, we are able to pass that on to our kids. So when they do silly stuff or unacceptable thing, we are able to separate the person, like you said, the person who's kind, who is loving, who is whole, from a person who's messed up, right? Someone who's made a mistake. And what a beautiful way to live, you know? It's so wholesome, you know. I'm really enjoying this conversation, right? So have you got any other beliefs that you feel that as parents we need to know?
Absolutely. I would just remind is that, okay, so when you're a teenager, when they come into those teenage years, right, it's like almost like, I feel from my experience and from my understanding and from different things I've read and accumulated, is that it's almost like a switch goes off in them where they want to step into who they are. So all this time up until that point, you've really been shaping them with your ideals, your beliefs, your ways of the world. And then it's like suddenly it flips and they go, okay, but this is what I want to show now. And which I feel is why there's that conflict like that people have. And so it's a reminder that they have their own voice, as in their own soul voice, their own guidance system. They have their own being. And if you remember that, then you understand that you can't, somebody who has their own, you can't come in and steal your own inside them, because it's already, that capacity is already taken. Absolutely. Which means that you have to learn not to take it, and you have to learn to communicate with it instead, you know, because if something is full, you can't put more in it. So they are already full with their own spirit, which means now you have to go, whoa. So before I was nurturing and I was filling up in my way, it's like I hit teen, bam. Now they're there and you're like, okay, so your communication has to change. And I think that we all as parents, like it's like it takes you through a process, you know. You go from showing them everything that they need to do, and suddenly they're like, no, I can do it myself, or I want to do it this way. And you're like, well, no, this is the way to do it. And then you have those moments, and then you're like, oh, right, yeah, because now you have kind of awoken in yourself. So now my job is, it's almost like now my job is just a guide. So before I was, do you know what I mean? Before I was teaching and I was inputting, and now I'm like, oh, I'm like a guide now. I'm like the protector. I'm just like the checker. You know, you're going to make a decision. I'm going to just double check, you know, did you think of all different sides? Did you look at all different viewpoints? And it's just a belief in there that I would say is just important to remember, that they have their own way.
And I feel is that is what we call the inner tutor, the intuition, right? So we need to trust that the power that beats their heart knows, right? So that, you know, sometimes we say, oh, I know what's good for you. Actually, in all honesty, in all humility, we don't.
That one.
Something, a guide, intuition has been beating their heart since they came into this world. So surely we need to give them a bit of respect on that, you know, and realize the power that woke them up this morning knows. And shall we give them an opportunity to allow that which is inside of them to grow bigger and guide them? Of course, we are here, we are living, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. So, and we are co-creators with each other. So it's okay to guide. We're not saying that you don't guide, you leave it completely. What we are saying is, before we jump in there to provide our own limited answers, we allow them the inner tutor, the intuition, the one that doesn't err, right? The one that beats their heart, the one that takes the blood round their body from their toes to the top of their head, you know, the one that grows their hair, the one that grows new skin in them. What is that? That intelligence. We need to allow that intelligence to actually become bigger, and we decrease, actually, which is that it takes a lot of letting go to do that. And it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. Like you said, it's not an easy thing. And I know exactly what you're saying, especially when they hit teenage years and this voice begins to be, allow me, you know, in fact, a lot of kids, they say, allow it, you know. You know, I never understood what they meant by this. And then one time I asked, and I was, all the kids were like, come on, allow it, you know, just let me be, allow me, you know. And it's true. When we allow them, in fact, I was having a meeting just before this one into a group of psychologists, and what I said was, it's very important for us to actually allow our kids to express themselves And we take that opportunity to go into their world and listen, because we don't know everything. We don't know everything. And it's in going into their world that we can learn a lot that we don't know. So I am so excited about those two beliefs that you've shared with us. Now I want to ask you, have you got any sort of personal experiences where you as a child, because I like to bring in a lot of things I do today stem a lot from little decisions that I made, things that made me, when things cut you, but then you haven't got a voice, you haven't got, and you're like, honestly, I'm never going to treat someone like this. I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be valued. Do you have, and I'm not saying you must have, do you have any such sort of experiences, especially as a young person who started a business at 14, were there people saying you can't do it, or what do you think you're doing? You should be doing physics. You should be training to be a doctor. All that. Sorry.
Yeah, I was in my family had a business, and so I was in family business at 14, and I'd be helping and stuff like this. So kind of that's where my kind of start in business comes from. But when in relation to what you're asking, as in, do I have something? I found my childhood really challenging. I'm not exactly cookie cutter to my siblings. I'm one of 6. They all have their strengths, and I'm just very different. And very, very sensitive, and very like, I can easily, I used to be, I'm much better at now, but I used to easily pick up other people's, the way they felt, and I would kind of take it into myself. And I would feel like, and then I love to fix things. Like anytime I saw someone hurting, I just want to resolve everything for them. So as I've grown up, I've had to kind of learn boundaries for myself, learn when to stop like taking on other people's problems, when actually it's theirs to deal with and it's me just to kind of observe. And so there's just different things. But for me, like when I was younger, it was like, I grew up in a religious family. We had to go to church, and I just, we were told a certain way, like if you pray to God, then these things will happen. And then I would pray and pray and pray, and certain things wouldn't happen. And then I was like, no, now I'm angry. I've got a beef with God. Like I got told if I did this, this would happen. It didn't happen. Now I don't want to talk to you because you're not delivering what I was told you deliver. So I don't want to speak to you, and I don't know why people are making me do this. So I just felt like with my own children, I still felt like some type of structure and understanding there's a bigger force than just us, because I'm not atheist. I do believe there's something bigger. And so I was like, for me, I was like, I think a structure is good, but I don't think that regimented. I mean, if I had to go for sleepovers, I had to be back before in time for church. If I did, like, there was just, every club involved church, and I was like, for me, it was too much. And I just felt like I'm not going to do that with my own children. Like, if I'm still into religion when they're growing up, I'll take them. And then if I'm not, I'll teach them about it. But I don't want to be so like, you can't do stuff outside of that. And then also there's just certain things, like we weren't really allowed to be open with conversation. We couldn't really talk about certain things. Like you couldn't talk about boys, you couldn't talk about sex, you didn't talk about puberty, there's just certain topics were just off limits. And which means that I had to grow up learning them from my friends. If you've ever tried to learn anything from your friends, you'll know. Like if you're 13, 14, 15 and you're getting advice from your friends who also don't know, like you can imagine the type of information that I learned. Interesting, really interesting. So for me, with my girls, I always just felt like I want to be open. I always told them any question that they have, they can ask me anything. Doesn't mean I will answer, but there is the space and the capacity that they can ask anything. And I said, sometimes I will not answer because I will have to think about what you said. I might have to I might need to take the time to formulate the best way to give you the information. I might think what you've asked me is inappropriate, so I might not want to communicate that. And that's just that's just been them from a tiny age all the way through, like now with my 17-year-old, right? It's just like, you can ask me anything and I'll have any conversation with you about anything you like. You know, my life, I don't hide anything. So anything kind of they want to know about my life, I'm like, yep, I've been through this in my life. You know, I just, whatever. But it's just, I made sure that I set clear boundaries at the beginning, just explaining that you can ask me anything. It doesn't mean I will answer. I just really needed to make like that clear to them, like and then sometimes they would ask me like, and I'd be like, do you really want to know? I said, because you're asking me something. I said, and once I give you this information, you can't take it back, because I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
So you need to really think what you're asking me, if you actually want the information, because you might be the only one out of all your friends who has this information that nobody else has. You won't be able to tell them, because it's not your right to parent another person's child or to think. I said, so you need to think about it. Like, and I would really give the space, like, because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the cold, hard truth, whatever it is you want to know. And so sometimes they would change their mind and be like, actually, forget it. Like, I don't want my bubble burst. I'm good where I am. And other times they would, you know, want to know. So that was just like important for me, that one. And then we also, in my family, like with my children, I always I learned about family meetings. I found out, like, as I got more into conscious parenting, I found out about people have these family meetings and they discuss stuff that people are unhappy with. And so we started that as a process of opening up the floor to each person speaking up and saying what they don't like, what they're uncomfortable with. And then, so, I mean, at the beginning, those family meetings used to go for hours. And I mean, like, because I said we'd cover everything that was on the list, and they would, like, you know, A4 sheet front and back. And I was like, oh, wow, you're telling me a little bit about my parenting. Okay. You know, like, oh, I can take this.
When you start those, you get flogged to the, you know, you're like, why did I really start this? Because it's like they've been waiting for this. I am here to crucify you, right? Yeah. I remember when I started those meetings of apologizing and all that, and saying to daughter that, tell me where I am doing it wrong, you know, because I want to parent you like I want to do my best job. Obviously, I've never had a teenager before, and even if I had, the person was never you. And oh my goodness, like you said, they bring it on. But as I think, as they get comfortable and they get confident, there's less to crucify you about, because you're learning as a parent, and also they are confident enough to do it along the way. Like during the day, she doesn't have to wait for the day that we do it. She'll say to me, Mama, did you really say that? You know, she'll be like, that's unacceptable, right? And I'll be like,
those things.
Yeah, you know, or she'll say to me, just for example, I've asked her to do something like 88 times. She'll be like, and then I end up shouting. She'll be like, hey, excuse me, you're the one that tells parents not to shout at their kids, right? What are you doing right now? And I'm like, oh no, let me not get, I'm feeling like that, but I can't do that. So I'm saying, you're correct. I shouldn't be shouting, it's unacceptable. And then I'm not trying to justify because I've asked you 88 times to do it. It's still not right for me to shout. So then I come back and I'm like, okay. Thing is, we've talked about this like 1,000 times. Would you just do it? Just do your bit. Just take responsibility, right? And you get moments like as you, because I think you rightfully said at some point, as they grow older, we stop forcing ourselves and our ideas into them, and we more become like partners. Yeah. The parenting, we sort of take our hand off or let's say our foot off the parenting pedal and onto the partnering. So we are having a lot of negotiations. We are having a lot of conversations. We are having a lot of what I like to say. I mean, I know argument gets a bad rap, but arguing, there is good arguing, because you want to be able to, you want your child to be able to present confidently there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and those are arguments, because
they're intelligent arguments, not ones where one is shouting over someone, but one where you're like debating, bringing your opinions, like, and discussing and going through. I understand.
And refuting. You want them to be able to say, I don't agree with that. And then you call them up to, all right, so tell me, why don't you agree with that? Because these are the kids who are going to be confident enough. When someone tells them to do something, they'll be like, wait a minute, that doesn't agree with me. I'm not going to do it. And none of us would consciously want our kids to be puppets. And unfortunately, most of us teach them to be puppets in the house. You do what I say, right? So they learn so much to do what you say, that when they go out there in the world, they're just doing what other people say, right? So it's we have to like learn to actually enable these powerful conversations, even allow them to refute ourselves. And unless I have a rationale for why I'm asking my kid to do something, I've got nothing to stand on, because why should they follow me blindly? Why should you let your kid follow you blindly? So I am excited about this conversation. I know we could go on and on. Now, I just want to ask you, in terms of self-care, when you think about self-care as a parent, as a businesswoman, as a coach, what kind of self-care activities would you advise, especially mothers? Because I know we've got loads of men listening here as well, so we're not singling you out. But what I do know is, especially mothers, we have this martyr, we have this martyr mentality. We do for people, and then we resent them. We're doing all these things for our kids. We are laying our life down for them, and then we resent them because they're happy, they're happy going on with their lives. And so what kind of suggestions, some self-care tips and activities would you like to share with our community? Because one of the things we like to say, and you mentioned it earlier, is about looking after yourself. You mentioned about personal growth. You mentioned about being aligned. So can you share that with us, please?
Absolutely. For me, when it comes to my parenting, I look at what are my deal breakers. So I absolutely love to drop my children off to school and pick them up. Like, I never want to outsource it. I do my best always to be me, because it's for me and how my children are. It's in that moment, because our the journeys aren't always close to home. It's in that moment that I learn the most about them. Like when I go, tell me what happened in your day today, and they're like, oh, and then I really make them go into detail. So they'll go through the subjects that they had, like, or look at my daughter, 17, so she's doing her A-levels, right? So she'll be like, oh, I had some study periods, and then she'll be like, and then I had this subject, and I wasn't really in the mood to listen today, like I was just tired, or in my study periods I was talking to my friend, like, and she'll tell me about who the friend she was talking with, or if she was using them to study or not, and blah blah blah. And so it's in these moments that for me, that's my deal breaker, because when I catch her in that moment from like school or the bus to home, I get a ton of information about her. And then once she's home, boom, she's gone, to her, and I'll be like, hello, is anyone there? So that for me is like, so when I look at all my parenting responsibilities, I'm like, I want to be there for them as much as I possibly can. And then it's looking at what other things could I, if I can't be there because I'm working, or if something else is going on, what would I happily kind of let someone else pick up on that I I don't mind. So like if someone else had to make dinner or something because I wasn't there, or if someone had to take, like, those things don't bother me. I don't feel like I'm less of a mum if I don't like do all the washing, or if I don't fold everything, or I don't like that doesn't hit me. So when you look at your parenting and look at who you are, where are your deal breakers? Like, what are the things that you really don't want to lose? And then what are the things that if somebody else had to take over, whether it be your husband, an aunt, a grandparent, a babysitter, like what would you be okay with somebody else doing that you could let go of, which means it will give you pockets of time. And then in that time, it's learning to find things that fulfill you. So if you're a parent that stays at home, then it's like, okay, what could you do that will bring you some joy and happiness? Like, is it, you know, reading something? Is it pursuing a hobby again? Is it, you know, developing something? Is it going out and sharing? Like, you'll find your thing. And if you're somebody that's a working parent and you've got to work around that because you're working and you're parenting and you're this, right? In it, like, as in you're working like maybe outside of the house, or these days inside a room. Working from home, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, just depending, like if you're doing the different type of work. Not saying that staying at home is not working, that's not what I'm trying to say, but that paid employment, should I say, or working for yourself, however. But if you're doing that, then it's just finding, again, what are your deal breakers with parenting and seeing if you can fit them in. You know, I don't know how like flexible your schedule is, but can you, if it is the school run for you, or maybe it's just the morning run, or maybe it's the afternoon one, you know, can you fit that in? Or if it's dinner time that's so special, can you make sure that you're always around for dinner? You know, that, you know, and just blocking out what's important to you. And then again, finding the windows of sharing it with a partner or somebody else so that you'd have time for yourself. You have to have time for yourself as a parent. Like, I did a lot of my parenting for my girls on my own for like most, I mean, I still parent alone now. And I've done it for a lot of years. So I just learned I have a shut off time. I was like, when I was so heavily involved in everything they did, I was just like, Guile, I was like 8 p.m. I was like, I can't go anymore. You've had me since like 5 or 6 in the morning. 8 p.m. I was like, I just couldn't keep going. Like, they would come to me at 7:55 and they would be talking to me. It hit like 8:02 and I'd be like, what do you want? And they were like, oh, whoa, lady. And I was like, I told you, like 8 o'clock, like the switch would just go at me. So it's just allowing, you know, letting your children know, by the way, I have to recharge. So if you need me, I'm around until this time, then I have this hour that I do for myself. And then it's explaining it back to them, like when they have a moment, maybe they want to talk to their friends, or they're gaming, or they're doing their homework and they don't like to be disturbed. It's like, you just have to let them know you have the same. Yes. And so it's just blocking them. And I just think it's always communication, but for me, it's really deal breakers. And then anything else that you can share with other people, and then taking those pockets of time and then allocating them for things that recharge you, rejuvenate you. And that's up to you what that is, whether from reading to watching film to having your therapy sessions to personal growth to, you know, whatever your thing is that builds you up. But I take some every day. I can't wait a whole week and then take a bath at the end of the week with a glass of wine and a bubble. Like, well, that's not doing anything for me. I cannot wait, you know, 6-7 days to have a little bit of Hermione time. I need some every single day, and they need some every single day. So why not maybe schedule it at the same time? It's like breathing, isn't it? I mean, I think self-care, we should take it so seriously. It's like breathing. You can't wait until I'm not, just hold on. I'm not breathe after 2 hours. We can't do that. We've got to breathe in alongside everything that we are doing to keep alive and to keep it makes you a better parent, it makes you a better person. So if they want the best of you, then, and you want the best of them, then you need, or everyone needs time. And when they've been at school all day, harassed by teachers, listening to nonsense, going like children talking nonsense in the years above and the years below, like, you know, being around their friends, having to tolerate different personalities and all that. They come home, it's like, I just need some zen in my family. Like, everyone understands me, kind of just, you know. So if they need that, then surely it's a perfect time. If one of them's going for their time and you've got other kids, everyone, it's me time, you know, from 5 till 6 or whatever time it is, and everyone gets there just calm. So you can work it to fit your schedule. You just have to talk with your family and find the best time. But I think you need it every single day, depending on the amount that you can take, depends on how thick and busy your schedule is, right? But I think you should definitely set aside time, whether you're I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have an hour to myself, or you're I'm staying up late at night and taking the time to myself. Like, you pick where it is for you, but you need it in order to be the best person that you can be for yourself. And when you fill yourself up so much, you be a great mum, or you can be a great dad. You know, you become a great aunt, you become a great, like, you can really give, you go into work and you feel happy. When you see your children, you look forward to seeing them. You can think clearer when conflict comes, you know, like, so you have to schedule it. It's not a question. It's not like, should I have some self-care? Should I have, no, you need some. Like, you go to the toilet, you shower, you brush your teeth, you have me time, you do your hair, you get dressed. Like, it's in there with your basics. It's just foundational. Yeah. It's just not, you can't compromise on it. It's not something that can be kicked out of your schedule.
Wow,
Sorry.
I love that. I love those tips. You know, I love the fact that you call them, you know, like, this is so intentional. I've actually never heard anyone call them deal breakers, right? And it's something I'm beginning to think I should include consciously. Know, what is it I can do, and only I can do, and that which adds value and connection between myself and my young person. And also thinking, how can I feel myself? So I'm asking myself, how can I fill myself up so that I am of value to them? Because honestly, when we are empty, we've got nothing to give apart from being angry and throwing our hands up and possibly even irritating them. Yeah, so I am so delighted about those tips that you have shared. Right, I just want to ask you, you know, where can people find you? Because I feel we haven't, you know, I feel we just have literally got just the bare, you look like you've got so much to give, and we've literally just scraped the surface. How can people find you, and where, and how can you start?
When it comes to parenting, actually, I really like, I'm always happy to talk on parenting and stuff, conscious parenting, because my parenting journey has always been so much in there. So I'm always happy to talk about, but I never sell it as a service or anything like that, because I have, like, it's a love, yes, but it's not something that I do as, do you know, I don't know how to explain it. So I have the thing I do. So in general, not
necessarily parenting, because
okay, fine.
You know, so I was like, as a business coach as well, because I know a lot of our clients here, like I said earlier, you know, they're beginning to wonder, what can I do? I want to be of service to people. I want to be, there is a dream I had when I was growing up. And in fact, what we usually see is a lot of our clients begin to work with us and become more acquainted to some of the strategies that we teach. And the problems they are having with their teenagers begin to dissipate. The dreams that they had begin to float to the top. And someone like you can totally help them in that, establishing a business that is aligned to who they are, because those are some of their desires and dreams. They come to the surface, right? So where people find,
okay, well, where you can find me, right? Here's one. You can find me on Instagram. My name's Hermione Sihukai, so you can find me there. This is the thing right now, is that I'm in a cocoon. You just don't see it because I'm speaking to you. So I'm going through a massive transformation. So I literally wiped my whole Instagram and I removed everything. Yeah, because I was like, no, none of it matches who I am anymore right now. And so I'm coming back out again. And it's like my business is all being my website's being redone, like everything. I regularly go through cycles as I change and grow more conscious, and then I'm like, I look back and I'm like, no, I know I can bring out even better information. I know it can make more sense. So I regularly do these clear outs.
I
So
love, by the way, I loved your website. So I'm sure that can be a beginning.
Yeah, the website's there, hermionezihukai.com. I have my business website is being done at the moment, so that will be out, but it's not out yet. But that will all be accessible from my website. But my Instagram, like if people want to reach out to me, Instagram, they can catch me. You can ask me questions. I happily answer things for people all the time. Like, I don't know, it's just very natural. People ask me something, I still have that thing where I'm like, oh, you want some help? Sure. Off you go. So yeah, feel free to reach me on Instagram. It's just my handle is just Hermione Sihukai. But just I regularly, as I learn new things and I change, I regularly just upgrade myself like a little computer program. And I'm like, oh, that program is no longer working. This is a new one, and this is new information. So I will be posting again, and I will be sharing valuable information again. But if I ever just, it's like an annual thing. If I ever just come and it comes into the winter and I kind of go into hibernation and I just double check everything. Am I happy with everything? You know, when you just kind of do a whole analytical appraisal on what have you been sharing? Is it of value? Is it what you want to say? Is it what you want to put out? Is it who you are? Does it match what you're saying? You know what I mean? Like, it's all those things. And I'm like, no, we go again. Sometimes I remove everything. And other times I just take off things where I'm like, no, that no longer serves me.
It's like a cleansing, isn't it? It's like, I love it. I love it's like a cleansing, and that shows me what an aware person you are, because many people find it hard to let go of a lot of things, and most of it, let's be honest, is usually a lot of baggage and this and let's be honest, whether it's success or failure from the past, as long as we are looking behind, we're gonna get accidents. Because you cannot drive forward while still looking behind. There'll be loads of accidents. You know, you hit loads of people, and you might even kill yourself. So it's about, forgetting what's been, and whether that's good or bad. And of course, we expect what has happened before to inform the future, but not necessarily to drive it, right? So, and it's very important that we as parents, as leaders, because parents are leaders. This is something I say, and it's something I want everyone here to come to terms with. And leaders are learners. Is there anything we can drop today? Because it's not serving us today. And whatever is serving us, let's go ahead with it. But let's not hang on to it like it's the only thing. Imagine if our bodies hang on to the cells from yesterday. We'd be, let us truly embody this, renewing our mind, constantly renewing our mind. And I am so excited to have had this conversation with you. And so your website is right. Shall we spell it?
Should I spell my name? Yeah, I'll spell my name. So yeah. HERMIONE, and then S for sugar, IHUKAI.com. That's my website. My handle is, again, my name. Yeah, I'm also on Facebook, obviously. So they're kind of, if you want to reach out to me, Facebook message me, Instagram message me, or contact me through my website. I'm more than happy to I do like free consultations for people for a short period of time where I can run through stuff, or if you've got a question you want to ask, I am more than happy to answer. I love to share in any way that I can kind of help in that capacity. So if it fits and I'm able to assist, then I will. And if it doesn't, and I know somebody that can, I will point you in the right direction.
Oh, lovely. That is so, so good. Yeah, just before we finish.
Yes.
I know loads of people are asking me, oh, you said you were going to talk to us about, I can see you was going to talk to us about how kids can be business people and all that. I mean, I know we haven't got the scope of time. And I think, to be honest, to talk about this would take a whole year of mentoring. But there is something I heard you say at the beginning of this, and you talked about helping our young people feel aligned with you. Can you just give that to us as pointers? Like, look us in the face and tell us, drop the control, allow your kid to be, I mean, I don't know how you're going to do it.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so I like how you call it, I know spirit say, so I will call it like that internal voice, that intuition, right? So like how you have that thing that tells you, oh, do you know what, remember your bag today, or, you know, go and talk to this person today. You know, you have that inside you that just reminds you, or you're like, oh, this conversation's making me uneasy, or I don't want to go that way. That thing that guides you inside, that spirit of yours, that you know, that higher creative intelligence, your children have it too. So when you allow them to listen to that and you nurture that in them, they in situations they don't put them in situations that bring danger. They don't put themselves in situations that bring harm, because that part of them just feels uneasy, and they've learned that uneasiness that they feel it means that something's going to happen or something is uncomfortable. So the more they align with that, the more they move away from those situations that are uncomfortable, in the sense of that are going to bring about something that they didn't need to walk through. You know, some things we're destined to walk through on purpose, and we'd never understand why. But for, you know, it helps us grow or change or be empathetic, or, you know, have an understanding, or maybe it's part of our teaching to go out into the world and share, right? But there's some things that they don't need to walk through. So when you as a parent nurture that voice, you help them connect with who they really are. And then when it comes to being abundant, when it comes to bringing in wealth into their life, you put them on the path that they have come to be on. And it's in that, because they're whole, because they already are abundant, when you're teaching them to ask for things, right? So you say, so I'm trying to make this quick. So you say, you know, like, okay, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for whichever festivals you celebrate? Like, you ask them to go to the highest source and request everything they want first. So they learn from the beginning, it's the all of everything that has the abundance that they go to first. So if they go there first, like, okay, so source, can I please have, you know, my iPads, my iPhones, my Apples, whatever it is, right? Then they come to you and they say, oh, okay, so this is the list I've made that I've asked for. You now, as a parent, you go back to being your vessel. So you go back to going, oh, yes, please, we would like that, because this is what they've asked for. And then maybe you find ways to bring it about. Maybe you already have the money, maybe you don't, whatever. Maybe they don't get every single thing on that list, but what you're doing is you're teaching them that there is a universal force that doesn't have a limit. Do you understand?
I love that.
I could like keep going, but I was like,
this is so amazing, because it actually removes the pressure from us, because we are truly not the providers. There is the universal provider. Some people call God, whatever it is that you call, but there is the universal provider, to who, and all of us have access to that source. And when we teach, what I heard you say so beautifully was, when we teach our kids to look up to that source and to have a relationship with that source, then they can ask for, it's not just limited to abundance. They can have their healing, because they can have when they're doing their exams and they don't know what to do, when you're not there, they can call up to that. And
Yeah.
there is nothing, I think there's nothing as liberating as that, because your kid learns to truly depend on the source of everything that doesn't err, right? So, oh, thank you so much. I am so excited. And oh my goodness, you guys, you wanna look out for Sihukai. And have I said that correctly?
Did Sihukai, yes. My name,
Sihukai.
Hermione, yes.
Hermione Sihukai. I was avoiding saying it all this time because, but hopefully I've said it correctly.
You did, perfect.
And I did ask for forgiveness before in case I butcher it at some point. And I'm gonna drop all these handles here so you guys can keep in touch. Let's keep growing. Let's keep growing. And one of the things that I would like you to practice this week, because you guys know we talk about taking action on the information so we can get transformation. Are you willing this week to show your kid to the source of everything? Can you do that so that when they come, like you told us very clearly, if they've got dreams, before they even share them with you, or even when they're sharing them with you, that they'll share those with that source of everything, God? We've got some people here, and most of you know are from the Christian faith, so it's not something that I hide, but I also am from the science side of it. And I can say to you, when we talk about energy, I'm right there with you, because I know that everything is energy, right? And in the Christian faith, we call it God, right? So if we are able to connect our kids to that, even Einstein told us that everything is energy, and there is a field of energy. If we are able to connect our kids with that, then we are free and easy to go. So let's do that. If you can, please try and do that, right?
Can I just add something on that bit?
Go
is
on.
Part of the reason why you teach your kid to go to God, to go to source, the universe, I don't have a problem with the name it, but that higher intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that when they see your limitations, which they do, and they're mad at you for not being what they want you to be, they realize that there is another path for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that child, that teen looks at you, and when they see your shortcomings and they think, oh, she doesn't have the money, or he doesn't have that kindness, or, you know, when they see your limitations, so when you've taught them that there's this higher power that they can ask anything for and they can receive it, they can be a kinder person, they can be a more intelligent child, they can be, you know, a richer person, they can have better health, they can pick a better path, they can choose better friends, right? Because they just have to go ask for it and then learn how to receive it. Then they realize that I don't have to be my parents. So now they don't have to resent you for your limitations. They don't like, they don't, and so then there's not that, you know, sometimes they get that anger at you, like, I don't have this thing because you can't give it to me. And it's like, okay, now it goes from, I don't have to be upset with my parents for where they've got in their journey, because I know I can ask for it first from something that has everything. And then I can come, you know, so part of it is to stop that friction and that resentment and that anger that they can project onto you for you being not your complete vessel yet, you still living in, you know, some of your stuff. So that's why it's also really important, is because it frees them and from projecting onto you where you're stuck. I just wanted to kind of sync that together. And I'll stop talking.
I'm not even gonna say anything else, because that was so powerful, and it liberates us from being held accountable for things that we actually haven't grown to. There is an infinite power. We are finite, but our awareness can go to that infinite power, but we always don't. So when we allow our kids to dream on, to dream big, that means they can ask for beyond what they could ever imagine, even beyond what we can ever imagine for them. It's such a beauty, and that's how we allow our kids to grow and even become bigger. I mean, there is a verse in the Bible. I just want to bring it out there. It says, even Jesus said, "These things and more shall you do, because I go to the Father," right? How, what an example of I'm not just limiting you to this. You are able to do all these things and even more, right? Anything that you want, you ask the Father, you ask that energy, whatever you guys want to call it. So I am extremely, extremely delighted. Guys, we've come to actually the top of the hour and beyond, but it's been such a beautiful, beautiful conversation, and I am so honored that you are of service to the community, and you so shared your heart out. I am so honored, and I am so, I don't know what to say. And just on behalf of all of us here at Raising Remarkable Teenagers, I wish you all guys the best. And remember, just listen again to this, because there were some tips that were being dropped and I was like, whoa, where and how did that come from? So if you want to say bye to the community and go on.
Thank you for having me. And just remember for yourselves that you are doing an amazing job. I don't mind where you're at right now. You are doing an amazing job, especially as a parent, because nobody has given you the rule book for that one child. That each one is different, and I just need you to understand. I don't matter where you are on the journey of your parenting, you're doing an amazing job. Keep listening, keep working on yourself, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here, so thank you.
Thank you so much, and all of you guys, we will see you next time. From all of us here at Raising Remarkable Teenagers, ta-da for now, and we shall see you in our next session. Bye now.